welcome. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma, and with me as always is Cheryl D'Souza. And viewers, this is the show where you get answers for all your stock-related queries. In a short while from now, we will connect with our experts. And don't forget that today is Friday, and we're going to be getting you Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala as well. But before that, let's have a quick look what the markets are up to. So Cheryl, amidst all the news flow related to Israel and Iran war, the Indian markets were trying to make some bit of a recovery. And we are amidst that itself, but still holding in the red.
Absolutely. A very good morning to you, Shrishti. And I don't think that we can use the word war as yet, because it is just a mild conflict or a tit-for-tat sort of a scenario that we are witnessing. But there have been a lot of comments coming in over the last 2 hours, and that's the reason why you see the markets actually dipped at open, but thereon we've tried to post a recovery, and we are holding on to that recovery. In fact, even just before the market opened, you had the GIFT Nifty indicating at one point in time a cut of around 380 odd points, and that actually recovered from the day's lowest point, and we were expecting a cut of around 200 points. And the Nifty, if you look at it right now, not faring that bad if you look at what the initial prints we were expecting it to be like. So yes, that definitely, the tensions over there is definitely lingering on the markets. If you look at Nifty, it is down about 130 points, but recovered almost 0.4% from the day's lowest point. Broader markets also have staged a very good recovery, be it the mid-cap index or the small-cap index. Approximately 1% or so gains from the day's lowest point is what both of them have actually posted. Nifty Bank is moving in tandem with the benchmark indices. A bit of outperformance for Nifty Bank, 0.4% downtick, 190 points cut coming in for Nifty Bank as we speak. Advanced decline ratio, needless to say, is in favor of the declines as of now, but hopefully we are able to maintain this sort of a recovery that we are making from the day's lowest point for the benchmark indices. Talking about the list of gainers, then yes, handful of gainers on the Nifty as of now, with the Grasim being the top gainer on the Nifty with gains of about 1.2%. You have ITC, HDFC Bank, M&M are the other set of gainers, while on the losing front is Bajaj Auto, which is reacting to his numbers, 3.3% downtick coming in for Bajaj Auto. Axis Bank, Tata Motors, BPCL, L&T are the other set of losers. Add to the list HDFC Life as well, which is reacting to its numbers. Let's take a look at what Infosys is doing, because remember that this time around, once again, the earnings were a miss, and we had the ADRs that were declining or indicating a sharp cuts for Infosys. Infosys down about 1.2%. Talking about the sectoral indices then, Shrishti, none of the sectors are in the positive territory. You have PSU Bank as the top sectoral loser, Realty is losing, Auto is losing, with FMCG losing the least in today's trading session. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time. Hopefully, we are able to at least maintain these levels, or in fact better from here on.
Well, yes, Cheryl, let's hope for the same. But with this, let's move on, and let's also go across to Kunal Bothra, who is standing by and joining us live for the Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala. Very good morning, Kunal. Take it away. Tell us what is the interesting topic that you have got for our viewers today.
Thank you so much for that. So, given the way the markets are, we all want that this pattern generally shapes up pretty quickly for the indices. So, the pattern which we are discussing today is bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. It's generally a precursor or a first sign that a major bottom could be in place for stocks or asset classes which exhibit this kind of a pattern. And if it's observed for many of the stocks in a very simultaneous kind of a manner, then we expect that the market gets into a bottom formation process, or at least those stocks in the sectors get into that kind of a process. So we look at first a very simple example of how bullish engulfing pattern generally is observed in the charts. A stock or an asset class goes into a downtrend by forming a bearish candlestick pattern on a consistent basis. All of a sudden, you see that there has been a good green bullish candlestick pattern gets formed. This candlestick pattern and this formation, the two-step formation, is called as a bullish engulfing pattern, because this bullish candlestick pattern engulfs the activity for the previous day in entirety, and this generally shapes up closer to a major support, a moving average, or a gap for the stock or asset class. So that also is an indicator that maybe the stock gets into a bottom formation process, and from here starts a process of uptrend for the stock. So this could be a very good point of indication that bottom is in place, and to buy could be a better risk reward for that asset class. We'll look at two examples over here. One, both of them are on the index front. One is the Nifty Financial Services Index. How the asset class got into a downward trend, as you can see here. The index formed from 4,400, 500 levels. There was not a zone where the index formed a bullish engulfing pattern, but over here, as you can see, that there were two bullish engulfing patterns which were formed simultaneously. That led to a major bottom formation process for the index, and closer to this 3,700 mark, as you can see that the index formed a major bottom over here. And this resulted into the index going into an uptrending mode. So this becomes a very good entry point, and especially when you see such kind of two bullish engulfing patterns getting formed simultaneously. We look at another example again from an index perspective, an index which was in the limelight over the last few weeks and months, which is the metal index. After a mild downtrend, the index forms a bullish engulfing pattern. This results into a base formation process for the index and then starts off a strong uptrend for itself. So that's a classical sign of how bottoms generally get formed, and this candlestick pattern can help us try and forecast or at least expect that or anticipate that a bottom is in place.
Right, that's something new that we've learned today in BNSN Pathshala. Kunal, I remember quite clearly that when we started the edition of Pathshala, we would have only one word term that you would want to explain. Now, I see as we are progressing with Pathshala, there are multiple words linked to one particular pattern, that is bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. So that is something new for all of our viewers to actually look at and actually learn. But Kunal, what about the markets then? What's it indicating to you now? What levels of a Nifty should one watch out for? What sort of a strategy should one use given the fact that we are seeing extreme volatility based on the geopolitical news that you're getting from overseas?
Well, absolutely, yes. So I think first things first, what matters over here is not to try and go for a catching a falling knife in this kind of a scenario, because you are plagued with a lot of news flows across the globe. So not just Iran, Israel issue, but when you look at the inflation scenario, the interest rate, concerns from the US, and for our markets, the results. So these are three big, circumstantial evidences that the markets are still getting into a phase of higher volatility. Whenever you see a heightened amount of volatility for the indices, the first port of call is to try and reduce the leverage, cut down your position size, and have only those quality names which makes a lot of sense in terms of your portfolio. And the second and the most important part is that these could actually be very good times for long-term, medium-term traders to try and build more quality stocks in long-term plays, which can help you shield from major part of the market correction as well as balance out your portfolio.
Okay, that's the advice coming in for all the traders out there as well as investors, that this is a good time to actually start looking to build on a solid portfolio for yourself. But with this, it's time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, viewers. As we come right back, it's time to take all your stock related queries. So stay tuned and start writing to us.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Markets trying to stage a recovery, 0.5% downtick now coming in for the Nifty over the last 15 minutes. If you look at it, Reliance Industries has seen some sort of a recovery creeping in. You have Kotak Mahindra Bank also that's seen some sort of a recovery over the last 15 minutes. No doubt it may not seem that big recovery, but nevertheless some recovery is always good. ICICI Lombard also has seen a recovery of approximately 1.3% over the last 15 minutes. So that's the way how the market texture is looking like at this point in time. But let's talk about all of your stock related query, viewers. You know what you've got to do. You can write to us on the number that will be flashing on your screen. Each time you write to us, remember to mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in, mention that name as well, along with the buy price and the quantity in case you're already holding the stock in your portfolio. And most important of all, please mention your time horizon every time you write to us. In that way, we will be able to direct your query to our experts. For the short term to medium term queries, we have our technical analyst, Kunal Bothra, who's joined us on the show. And for fundamentals, that is your medium to long term horizon, we have Avinash Gorakshakar to take all of your queries on the fundamental side. Very good morning once again, Kunal, and good morning to you, Avinash. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And let's kickstart taking all of the stock related queries then. And this one is coming in from Swati. And Swati wants to know if new gen software is worth buying at current market price for the next 2 years or so. What's the take on this one? Avinash, have you tracked new gen software? A good bet to buy right now?
Yeah, I think, Cheryl, if the investor has got a 12 to 18 month time frame, then I think Newgen Software is a specialized software company. I think operates in a very niche space. and has been reporting very strong numbers. In fact, the commentary post the Q3 numbers has also been quite good. Overall, I think the stock has we have witnessed a fair to expensive valuation. So in this kind of market, if the investor can get a chance to buy the stock on any market correction and on decline, that would give a decent risk reward over the next say 12 to 18 months. But I think the investor needs to give in a slightly longer time frame because only then the risk reward could be in favor of the investor.
All right, moving on then, and the next query is coming from Tushar, and Kunal, he's holding Dabur at a price of 563 rupees. Is this counter worth holding? Any hopes on recovery, or should he just go ahead and exit this counter? And his second question on GE Shipping, is this a good time to enter into GE Shipping at current levels?
See, I think I understand that many of the FMCG stocks are now coming back to their key, corrective phases, but then it's very difficult to try and categorize that whether these stocks would probably get into a bottom formation process as a basket, because see, on one hand, the likes of Nestle, for example, is seeing a heightened amount of volatility. HUL is looking like it's nearing a major bottom for itself. So it's very stock specific. I would suggest just wait out for maybe another a few weeks, because if these stocks they don't fall with respect to the markets and the stocks they just about go into a time-wise consolidation, that could probably be an indicator that maybe these stocks have formed a bottom for themselves, the selling is over, and now slowly and gradually these stocks would get into a recovery. So I would suggest not to be in a hurry to try and exit the positions, but just wait out for another couple of weeks. GE Shipping on the other hand, the stock is still trading into a range. 1050, 1060 is a breakout point for GE Shipping on the upside. But I would suggest that if possible, look to buy the stock on corrective phases. 950 could be a good entry point.
All right, this one is coming in from Rajiv Kunal, and this one is for you. He's saying he's a big fan of King Kunal, is what he's written to us. He's writing to us from Mumbai, and he's bought about 600 shares of Navkar Cop at the price of 95 rupees per share. He wants to know 3-month technical view on that particular counter. What levels can he expect for Navkar Corp? 95 was his buy price.
First of all, thank you so much for that, and it's a good pleasure. So to try and just to receive beautiful comments from all the viewers. Now, in terms of Navkar Corp, what's actually very interesting about the chart is this last 6 months of recovery, because prior to that, it's a stock which has been a sheer disappointment in terms of the price trends. But in the last 6 odd months, from I think October, November lows, when the stock was almost at 55, 60 levels, the stock has started to show some signs of good trend, volumes picking up, and for the first time the volumes had been at a much positive trends for Navkar Corp. So I would probably expect that don't give it just another 2 or 3 months, because it's possible that the markets may take some time to settle after this kind of a geopolitical news flow. But if this volume trends settle up further for Navkar Corp, then the stock may come back above that 120 levels and possibly head even higher. So I would suggest to just wait out for the stock as of now and have a slightly higher term time horizon rather than 3 months.
All right, moving on then, and the next query, Avinash, is coming from Vijay from Bangalore. He is holding 7,000 shares of Salazar Technologies, Techno Engineering, from a price of 27 rupees 50 paise. Is this a good stock to continue? Any view on this one?
This is a stock which is servicing the electrical and basically the power transmission industry. I think numbers have been decent, but still the stock has not delivered, in terms of the stock price performance. So I think, this is a typical micro cap stock where liquidity is a little bit of an issue. So I think if the investor can hold on only for the next, say, 12 to 18 months, he can continue to hold. Otherwise, I would suggest that, he should get into far more liquid counters like an IDFC First Bank or maybe a Federal Bank, where I think, the risk reward definitely is also better and where the liquidity is also much better. Typically, illiquid stocks tend to basically not perform that well. So IDFC First Bank looks pretty attractive at the current level. The results are also expected on the 27th. So I think numbers should be much better than what the street is expecting.
Right. Moving on then, and the next query, Kunal, is coming from Siddharth from Kolkata, holding Root Mobile 30 shares at a price of 800 rupees. What is the long-term outlook on this one?
See, I think Root Mobile has been a stock which has been going through a major consolidation. No major signs of a trend or uptrend coming up into the stock price. And I think looking at the current chart structure, I don't see any major trend picking up. So I think if you're looking to buy the stock, I would suggest just that you avoid and then maybe concentrate on some other space. I would probably recommend, of course, not stocks from the same sector, but differentiated stocks. For example, Balrampur Chini, Praj Industries, they are the ones which are looking fairly attractive, and I would probably sense that we could be at a cusp of a major bottom formation for many of the sugar stocks. So I would suggest not to buy Route Mobile at current levels, and if you're holding, then maybe keep a stop loss of 1500, but look to shift to some other sectors in stocks like Praj as well as Balrampur Chini.
All right, this was coming from Shankar, who's writing to us from Tuticorin. He has 145 shares of Shobha at 705 rupees per share and 516 shares of PFC at a price of 95 rupees per share. Is it worth holding on to for the next 2 to 3 years, Avinash, or should he look to book profits in both of these counters? Because if you look at the stock price, his buy price and where the stocks are, he's really made good returns from both of them.
No, I think the next 2 years would definitely be good for both PFC as well as Sobha developers. Sobha is a very quality real estate player operating in the Bangalore market, and PFC has been doing extremely well considering the fact that power generation as a sector is expected to do well over the next, say, 2 to 3 years. But I think since he has made a decent amount of money, he could actually book out some, profits out of both these counters, and probably, hold on the balanced quantity in both Sobha as well as PFC for the next, say, couple of years. Long-term prospects are good, but I think by this he can actually recover his capital and, make the remaining quantity of stocks completely free of cost. So his margin of safety could increase significantly.
Once again, coming to you, Avinash, why so? Because this counter has been in the news, and I'm talking about Axis Bank, where Suraj is holding 40 shares at a price of 1,040 rupees. Some of the reports suggesting, as well as the stock impact today, that is down about 2%, is on the back that the company is looking to raise some funds for which the management was not in the last con call, and this could also lead to some bit of a dilution. So in the near term, do you believe that there could be some impact because of this? But keeping that aside, for the long term, maybe for the next 2 years, is this a good stock to be in?
Yeah, I think, see, within the private banking space, Shristi, I think Axis Bank has delivered very strong numbers. In fact, most of their subsidiaries as well as the core business continues to do well. I think, see, if you look at this stock, I think banking as a sector is definitely bound to do well once, the new government comes in, we have the new budget. Infrastructure spending as well as corporate capex has been going up. And plus fee-based income, for the bank is also steadily increasing. They are also very strong on the digital side. So I would say that, if you keep a 12 to 18 month time frame, I think Axis Bank should be held on to. Short term, there could be some volatility, but longer term prospects continue to be good.
Right, this one is coming in from Swaminathan from New Delhi. He's holding about 100 shares of Amara Raja batteries from the levels of 744 rupees per share. Kunal, he's been holding this for the last 2 years or so. He's holding it since 2022. Now that the stock has crossed 1,000 rupees per share, he wants to know whether it will actually surpass its previous all-time high levels. Any breakout that you are witnessing? Because there's a lot of news flow actually supporting this price momentum also when it comes to Amara Raja.
Well, absolutely, yes. And I think that's one of the major reasons why you're seeing these stocks coming out of their 6 months or 6 years or I think 8-9 years of major consolidation. So Amara Raja Battery, I think the stock went into a consolidation in 2015-16 or so, and from there the stock has been trading into a very broad kind of a range. So I think it's a good sign that these stocks are coming back into a breakout. We've seen what has happened to Exide, especially in the last I think 2 months or so, 1 to 2 months, where the stock from 300 or sub 300 levels has gone past above 450 levels. So I would expect that this momentum should probably take Amara Raja Battery also on the upside. Would suggest a hold.
Avinash, amongst the power space, any of the two counters that you like at this point, where Satya Veni is looking to invest rupees 4 lakhs in both of these names?
I think within the power sector, I think we continue to bet on Tata Power. I think power generation business is going to do extremely well. Plus, they are now, very aggressively looking at renewables as well as electric vehicle chargers infrastructure as a big business opportunity. So I think this stock can be accumulated on declines. And the second stock is Irida, which got listed this year. I believe, that if you were to look at the renewable energy space, then it's one of the primary, lending agencies. And I think at these levels, if the investor can keep a time frame of at least, 1 to 2 years, I think definitely, a good amount of money and a good risk reward could happen.
All right, this one is coming in from Tina. Kunal, this one is for you. NBCC, she's holding from the levels of about 90 rupees per share, and NHPC 83 is a buy price. Should she hold on or exit? Her time frame is around 12 to 18 months. She's okay holding on to these counters for that sort of a time frame. What's your take on NBCC as well as NHPC?
See, broadly, I'll be bullish on these stocks, but it's just that, the run which had happened for these names in the last 12 months or so, 12, 18 months, I think we may probably be at a point where these stocks may underperform significantly in the next 3 to 6 months, or at least 6 months and more. So I would believe that if you have a, a time horizon which is 6 months to 1 year approximately, then it doesn't make sense to continue to hold on to these stocks, at least book out partial profits, into these names, if not more. Today may not be a great day to try and book out partial profits into these stocks because the prices are already oversold. But in case if, say, over the next 1 or 2 weeks, you see these stocks bouncing up by a margin of 5 to 10% higher, then I think that could be a good territory where you may look to start booking out profits.
All right, but with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to take more of your stock-related queries. Welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now, and take a look at the recovery in the markets, because Nifty 50 has also recovered from the day's lowest point that we have been flagging off. But in the last 10-15 minutes or so, there's more recovery that we are seeing happening on both the index. But let's get back to your queries then. And the next query is for you, Kunal, because Shri Ram is looking to invest into a couple of stocks, and he wants your advice that which amongst them is the best for the long term. He has stocks like AB Capital, Sansera Engineering, as well as South India Bank in mind.
So, AB Capital, Sansera Engineering, as well as South Indian Bank. See, out of the three names, I would probably believe that AB Capital is a better, bet, in terms of the chart structure for the stock in the last 6 months or so. Sansera is the other name which is also confirming a breakout for itself. I think the short-term charts have been quite positive. The stock in the last few weeks, I think, has recovered from 920 to 1050 odd levels for itself. South Indian Bank, on the other hand, my concern is the way financials as a space as well as banking as a space has behaved. I would probably expect that the banking stocks may continue to lag or underperform, unless you will see probably the larger cap names, the likes of HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, trying to pick up pace as well as head towards breakout for themselves. I think that would probably be the the benchmark feature for the bank Nifty to try and make a comeback, and the private sector banking stocks and the mid cap end of the banking names making a comeback. So I think I would probably be wait and watch on South Indian Bank, but the other two names, AB Capital as well as Sansera, is what you can look to buy.
All right, this one is coming from Praveen Kumar, who's writing to us from Palakkad, Kerala, and he wants to know whether he can buy Sandhar Technologies for the long term. And one of the theses that he is wanting to bet on this counter, Avinash, is the fact that Elon Musk is likely to visit the country. We are all waiting for that announcement that he's going to make. What sort of an announcement or what sort of meets he is going to take place? So, based on that, you think Sandhar Tech is a good bet?
Yeah, I think clearly, Sandhar Technologies has got a large exposure to the electric vehicle segment. And I think, Elon Musk's visit is definitely very important. I think it's going to create a kind of an opportunity for a lot of Indian, auto component companies which operate in the electric vehicle space. So to that extent, yes, sentimentally, most of these stocks will see a decent upside. In fact, there are many companies like Uno Minda. This is also a very large player in the electric vehicle component space. So I would suggest, that let the water settle down. Let us get some good confirmation, because the company's performance has been quite good, but the stock has jumped quite significantly. So, if one were to buy the stock, I would suggest it's better to buy on declines rather than in a rising trending market. So it's better to wait for a mild correction here, and then I think he can allocate some funds to Sandhar Tech.
Right, moving on then, and the next query is for you, Kunal. This is from Sita Ram Ganesh, and he's holding Dr. Reddys, and he's also mentioning that now it has broken 6,000 mark. Where's the next support level where he can go ahead and look to add more?
See, I think if I'm not wrong, the stock is going through some 5 or 6 consecutive weeks of underperformance, and that is generally very rare kind of a phenomena for a stock like Dr. Reddy, which generally tends to settle after just few weeks or few days of selling for itself. That generally indicates that maybe we could be at a cusp of a mild reversal further for the stock. The next level of support, for the stock is around 5,750 to 5,500 range for Dr. Reddy. So if you're looking to buy, then keep this range in mind, so that whenever the stock enters into or taps back into this strong support zone, you can look to buy back.
All right, this one is coming from Shubham. He's writing to us from Jammu, and he has 5,000 shares of Sarveshwar Foods at an average price of 10 rupees. I think it's a penny stock. I'm not sure if both of you all track this counter. Kunal?
No.
And Avinash?
No, I don't track it.
Let me skip that query then, and let me take this next one. Is coming in from Balaji from Madurai. And Kunal, this one is for you. 500 shares of Dhanlakshmi Bank at a price of 53 rupees per share, as well as Ease My Trip at 48 rupees per share. He wants to know, can he add some more of both of them in his portfolio right now? What sort of strategy should he adopt for Dhanlakshmi and Ease My Trip?
Well, this is exactly what I mentioned at the start, Cheryl, that this is a very good time to try and buy large cap stocks rather than betting on these mid cap stocks, mid cap, small cap names, because when the market gets into such kind of volatility, large cap stocks are the ones which tend to shield from major part of the market correction. And we also look at this way, that these large cap stocks are not available at a premium. They're available at a significant discount. They're trading at lower end of the support territories for themselves in terms of relative price action. So I think in all scenarios, I would probably suggest that if you're looking to deploy your additional capital, don't look to average these stocks, but look to add quality to your names.
Right. Moving on then, and Avinash, what's your view on Sterlite Tech? Poonam from Punjab is holding 250 shares at a price of 156 rupees.
Longer term, I think looking at the kind of 5G rollout and the big opportunity present there, Sterlite Tech is one of those companies, which is a fully integrated player in the optic fiber space. The business is lumpy, but they have a large order book to execute over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. I would suggest that, if the investor has got at least a 12 to 18 month time frame, then only one can look at it, because most of the negatives are in the price. I think prices of optic fiber now globally also have started moving up. And I think with a large 5G opportunity in India, definitely Sterlite optical, technology should do very well. But I think you need to give in a time frame of at least 1 to 1.5 years here.
Kunal, this one is coming from Sunny. This one is for you. He wants your short-term to medium-term view coming in on IEX. He has 1,000 shares of IEX at a price of 150 rupees per share. He wants to know at what price should he look to average this counter, and the other one is, should he look to buy Clean Science right now?
See, there are 2 points for IEX. One is that the stock is, of course, in the thick of a lot of news flow, and that I believe makes the trends a lot more unsustainable for IEX. But when I look at the charts, I would probably term this as just another stock. And in case if the stock breaks past about the previous resistances, I think 170 approximately is the major resistance. 160 is the first major hurdle for the stock price. So these are the 2 levels where you can look to buy. Say if the stock crosses about the 160 mark, you can look to add some quantity, and the degree of confidence could be much higher once the stock scales past about the 170, 175 hurdle for itself. So I would suggest that keep these 2 levels in mind.
All right. The next query that I have, Kunal, is also for you. Jose from Coimbatore wants a short-term outlook on Shri Ram Finance. His buy price is 2,450 rupees. In the short term, the stock is expected to recover some bit, or should he go ahead and book loss at this point?
I think 2450 is what you've bought. Then I would probably suggest keep a stop loss of 2270, 75 for the stock on closing basis. This is where the stock had taken a bounce back even last time around. So it's a very high quality kind of a financial services name, but it's just that because of the recent market correction, it's possible that these stocks may also tap back to their strong support territory before they bounce back and start off an uptrend. So I would suggest keep a stop loss and then hold on.
All right, I believe we have an issue when it comes to our line graph. So there you go. It was Shri Ram Finance that Kunal was talking about. Let's move on. Then let's talk about the query coming from Anant Nayak. He's writing to us from Bangalore. Daneri Ventures is a counter that he wants to know whether he should look to buy currently at current price. He had already purchased it at around 85 rupees and sold at 132 rupees per share. Daneri Ventures, Kunal, have you looked at the charts for this one? Because given the fact he's already exited, do you think it's a good bet to re-enter all together once again?
Not really. I don't track the stocks, Shell, so I'll probably refrain from commenting.
Do you think GM Breweries is a good one to buy right now?
I think GM Breweries could be a good bet. In fact, one of the stocks which I've been consistently advocating over the last few weeks has been Som Distilleries from the same space. Radico Khitan is something which has given a breakout or is on the verge of a breakout for itself. So which means that the entire sector is now going to a second leg of breakout for itself. I would suggest that you can look to buy GM Breweries, and if possible, if you're looking to create a portfolio or a basket of stocks, for example, from the liquor space, then I think I would probably recommend even Som Distilleries as well as Radico.
All right. The next query that I have, Kunal, is also for you. This one is specifically coming for you from Prathna. Is this okay to buy a Ujjivan Finance at current market price, but for a long term?
So Ujjivan Finance, okay. So I believe, yeah, I think it's a very good chart. In fact, I was looking at the stock in the morning when it had moved up some 3-4% up move. It shows a lot of strength every time the market gets into a high degree of volatility. The stock has relatively been a lot more stronger performer in the last 1 to 2 years. Yes, in the last 1 or 2 months, the stock may have corrected more from 600 levels to maybe sub 500 mark, but then largely Ujjivan is something which I would probably believe that you can continue to hold on. So I would suggest hold on to Ujjivan, which is a stock which is trading now closer to 550 levels.
All right, so it is Ujjivan Financials, that's the parent company, not the small finance bank that Kunal was just talking about. Moving on, let's take this next query that is coming in from Gautam from Mumbai. He wants to invest in artificial intelligence based stocks in India. He's asked for a recommendation from Kunal, but I'll take it to you, Avinash. Given the fact that it is a niche space, or rather a space that is still developing, any counters that come to your mind involved in AI or chips that one can look at for the longer term in order to invest in it?
As of now, there are not many companies which are into semiconductor chips, Cheryl. But I think clearly, I think if you were to look at AI or the digital embedded business, then I think LTTS, which is a part of the Larsen and Toubro family, I think that is one company where possibly one can take an exposure for the longer term. I think it is one of those companies which is doing extremely well. So I think L&T technology is something where possibly the investor can look at doing a SIP if he's got a 2 to 3 year kind of time frame.
Right, moving on then, and Avinash, once again, a query coming in from Parag from Vadodara, and I'm not sure whether you tracked this counter or not, but this query is on Rishirup Rubber. He's been writing to us like almost daily to have a take on this one, since he's holding 2,000 shares at a price of 136 rupees. Any view on this stock? I'm not sure whether we have this stock as well to share the price that is currently trading at. Rishirup Rubber, Avinash, any view on this one?
Actually, just even I don't track it actively, so I won't be able to give you a fundamental.
Let me move on then. Let me take the next query. This one is coming in from Kumar, who's writing to us from Mysore. And he has BPCL at a price of 444 rupees per share, about 1,000 shares of BPCL in his portfolio. Kunal, hold or should he look to book profits in this particular counter? Because yes, let's not forget that along with the PSU pack, OMC started rallying much later. But now it is all dependent on what's happening in the international crude market, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think that will probably continue to be a part of play for BPCL and the oil marketing companies. But when I look at the charts for the stock, there's nothing exciting in the last 2-3 weeks for the stock. It's been trading into a range. Yes, the stock has done pretty much well for itself from mid of 2023 when it was sub the 350 mark towards the point when the stock had crossed 650 levels. But I believe that larger part of the rally is now behind us. What we are now likely to probably foresee for these stocks would be more of a time-wise grind and as well as a price-wise consolidation. So again, as I said, not to sell at current levels, but in case if you see a bounce and the stock coming back to 600 levels, that could be a good point where you may look to book profits.
Okay, moving on, and Avinash, the next query is coming in on Tube Investments. This counter has given great returns to the investors, and Lakshmi Narayan wants to know that is there still opportunity left in Tube Investments? Good time to enter for the long term?
Yeah, I think looking at the fact that this is a very quality play within the engineering sector. My sense is that over the next say 1 to 2 years, the company has stated that they would be launching several new products. Plus, within the existing vertical, they have large exposure to engineering, automobiles. So I think, longer term, definitely prospects look good. Of course, in the short term, the stock will remain range bound. But if one were to look at the next 2 years, then I think one could definitely look at adding it to its portfolio. One could definitely expect a very decent risk reward. But yes, the time frame has to be slightly longer term.
All right, that's the take coming in on Tube Investments. On that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But let's talk about Federal Bank. Before we do that, they are going to expand their operations overseas as the company has received, or the bank has received, the RBI approval to establish a representative office in Saudi Arabia. The nod is subject to further regulatory approvals from the relevant authorities in Saudi Arabia, but this is one of the big feats coming in for Federal Bank, so a stock to keep on your radar. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Steady recovery underway when you talk about the benchmark indices, 0.7% uptick coming in from the day's lowest point. When you talk about the Nifty index, let's take a look at Bank Nifty and let's see what exactly Bank Nifty is doing at this point in time, because Bank Nifty anyways was faring much better than benchmarks, and there you go, almost near the day's highest point for the Nifty Bank, 0.9% uptick from the day's low. Broader markets also, like I said that earlier also, that almost a percent recovery from the day's lowest point for the mid cap index as well as for the small cap index. So yes, that recovery that we were hoping to creep in looks like it is actually gaining momentum right now when you talk about the broader markets, benchmark indices as well as Nifty Bank right now. Smart recovery coming in for the benchmark indices. Let's take a look at what Sensex is doing, because right now Sensex is only trading lower by about 0.3%. This as against almost 0.9% up downtick that the markets registered at open. But let's move on and let's continue taking all of the stock related queries. Then this one is coming from Anusha, writing to us from Karnataka. She has 20,000 for investment right now, Kunal, and she wants to invest only for a period of 2 months. Which stock do you think is the best stock to look at for a period, even if it is for 2 months?
That's a very, very short-term time horizon, and given the way the markets are, I think it'll be a bit more riskier. But I'll probably take my chances over here. I would recommend something like City Union Bank at current levels. I would believe that the stock looks fairly attractive even at current juncture. Mahindra and Mahindra from the large cap space, that's a stock which looks fairly poised for further continuation up move. So you can look to buy these stocks. Again, very difficult given the way the geopolitical news flow is surrounding the markets as such, but then I'll probably stick to these two names as of now.
All right, moving on then, and the next query is, let me take it from you, Avinash. Any view on Astra Microwave as well as Azad Engineering? Are these good bets to enter? And if yes, then is this a good price to enter as well, or one should wait for some dip and then enter in these counters?
No, I think both the companies, you mentioned, Shristi, are good names, Astra Micro as well as Azad Engineering. I would suggest that, if the investor wants to buy, then I think he needs to wait for a mild correction, because both these stocks are actually elevated quite significantly. Astra is into the defense space and Azad is into specialized engineering kind of, sector. So I think both these companies have done remarkably well in terms of their top line, in terms of their profitability. The order book also is pretty solid for both these companies. So I would suggest that, maybe the market corrects a little bit. I think at lower levels, I think the risk reward would be better, but not at the current valuations.
All right, this one is coming from Kaval. He's writing to us from Dubai and he wants to know about WellSpan Living, 157 rupees, buy price is 157, around 240 shares in his portfolio, and EPL 190 is the buy price for 250 shares or so. Kunal, WellSpan Living as well as EPL, how are the charts looking for this particular counter? What sort of a strategy should Kaval use?
Well, again, very docile kind of charts, because these stocks have gone through a very flattish kind of a trading range. Of course, the range is a bit broad, but then when you look at the trends, there's nothing meaningful which is emerging. The indicators have flattened out for WellSpan Living. Even for EPL, the stock is now trading closer to 177 mark. WellSpan Living, if I'm not wrong, is now trading closer to 140-45 odd range. And when we look at the charts for the last 6-7 months, there's nothing exciting on the charts which probably warrants any kind of a major buy, contra buy, or even a breakout. So I would probably suggest to avoid these two names and not to buy in case we are looking to buy the stocks. So in case if we are holding, just continue to hold on.
All right, Kunal, Kunal, once again coming to you, Rohit from Pune has written to us and wants to know, is this a good time to enter L&T for the short term?
I think it could be a very good time to try and buy the stock because very rarely you see stocks like L&T going into a 10% correction from 3800, 3850 mark. The stock has come back towards 3500 levels. Now this could be a very good entry point for a stock like L&T because we rarely see these kind of 10% corrections for the stock, and historically these have actually been good points where traders would have looked to accumulate further or look to add quantity in the stock, bounces back to try and come back into a strong uptrending mode. So I would suggest a buy.
All right, that's the take coming in on that particular counter. But with that, let's kick start with the rapid fire then. And the first query that I have is coming in from a viewer, John Simon. He wants to know about Adani Power. How does this particular stock look to you on the charts, Kunal?
Well, not attractive. I would suggest to avoid the stock as of now. In case if it dips down towards 500, look to buy.
Alright, Avinash, what's your view on Tata Elxsi? Because V Venkatesh has bought the stock at a price of 987 rupees. He has 107 shares. After phenomenal profits, good time to book out or continue to hold?
No, I think he should book out 50% and the rest he can hold on. I think this is also a very niche player in the IT space. And I think considering the kind of order book and the kind of traction which the company has shown, long-term prospects appear to be quite good. So he can hold on to the balance quantity and book out a part of their usable stocks.
Okay, Ramesh from Hyderabad wants to know about Asian Paints, 140 shares at a price of 2,852 rupees per share. Kunal, what's your short-term advice?
Continue to hold on as of now.
Okay, Kunal, short-term view on SJVN. Srinath is holding 1,000 shares at a price of 150. Cut loss or hold on?
Yeah, I think you should look to exit.
Sudeep from Mumbai has Delta Cop at 165, Burger King at 150 rupees per share, making loss in both of these counters. Avinash, what's your take? Stay put with them for the next 1 year or look to exit from both of them?
No, I think both the stocks can be held on. I think Delta Corp, I believe that post-elections we could see some good announcements, from the government. And I think, the other stock which you mentioned also within the QSR space, I think things have started looking up quite positively. So I think for the next 6 to 12 months, continue to hold on.
Okay, Avinash, after the results, good run up on Just Dial, and Raghuram is holding 20 shares and his buy price is 725 rupees. Good to book out profits or continue to hold?
No, I think he can book out profits. I think it's a good 30% move and that too in a very short period of time. So I think he could exit and book out profits as of now.
Kunal, this one is coming from Venkat Ramani, Piramal Pharma, 760 shares at a price of 122 rupees per share. Stay put with this, add some more for a period of about 2 years. Piramal Pharma.
Continue to hold on.
Okay, Kunal, lastly, Alok Mange is holding SBFC Finance, 6,000 shares, bought at a price of 86 rupees. Is that a hold or sell?
Hold as of now.
All right, with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as the query segment. Thank you so much, Avinash, as well as Kunal for joining us on the show. And thank you, Kunal, for the Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala edition as well. With that, viewers, we come to the end of this week's edition of Buy Now, Sell Now as well. So it's a goodbye from Shrishti, myself, our producer Shreyansi Anjali, as well as our director Santosh. Thank you so much for watching.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.